know.
All right. Well, I'm going to get us rolling here. We got 5 people.
Yeah, what was that? Just for Courtney. That's Courtney. Hi there, Courtney. Yeah. Right. Oh, and Robin.
Now,
Yeah.
Courtney, Robin, hello. Hello, everybody.
People.
Welcome to Mystique.
Hi there. Yeah. Right. So this is just like basically just to explain further, just because people might be stumbling across this on YouTube and not have ever heard anything about drug burn theory. It's basically the theory that Charles Watson, had bought some MDA from Frykowski, the drug MDA, and it was bad or whatever, or he some kind of big deal involving MDA had gone wrong between Frykowski and Charles Watson, and that was one of the motives for them going up there and killing them that night, was over this MDA. And when you read the police report, there's a lot of stuff in the police report saying that there was a lot of drugs being dealt out of Cielo Drive, basically. And so this is what I wanted to look at. Anyway. So yeah, I just want to read this out. Anyway. During April, May, June, and the first part of July, Frykowski and Folger had many impromptu parties. An open invitation policy existed at the house. Drug use was prevalent. They used hashish, marijuana, mescaline, cocaine, and MDA. William Doyle, Tom Harrigan, Pete Dawson, John DeTuro, Charles Tacott, Ben Carruthers, Cass Elliott, Witold Kazanowski, along with several other narcotics users, were frequent visitors and partygoers at the Polanski residence. William Doyle and Tom Harrigan came to Los Angeles in January of 1969 from Toronto, Canada. Doyle arrived first via commercial airline, arriving with an estimated 2 pounds of cocaine. After his arrival, he took up residence at Cass Elliott's 7708 Woodrow Wilson Drive, Los Angeles. Doyle and Elliott had met while Elliott was making a film in Toronto, Canada, Doyle's and Harrigan's hometown. When Doyle arrived, it was obvious to Elliott that he was high on drugs, and when he produced the 2 pounds of cocaine, Elliott told him he would have to leave. It was at this time that Harrigan arrived, and the two of them took up residence at 1459 North Ring Road, Los Angeles. From this location, Doyle and Harrigan began to solicit and make friends with various persons in the movie industry. They did this in order to make contacts for the sale of smuggled cocaine. Right, so basically, yeah, it's just saying that these, drug dealers were hanging around at Cielo Drive a lot.
Now, did Doyle, Harrigan, and Dawson fly in on a separate time just about a week before the murders, and they all congregated up at Sharon's house for a party? Is that part of that study? Did they keep like going in and out of Canada and back and forth from LA to Canada, or did they stay when you say they came in December or January?
I'm not sure. Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, I think they flew a few times.
Flew back and forth. Okay, yeah, because I knew that Frykowski picked them up at the airport, LAX, just a few days before the murders. So
yeah, because that's in the police report as well. I haven't got that tonight, but yeah, that is in the police report. We've got that in the files section of our group. If you want to read the whole police report, we've got the whole thing. Right. Basically, this is Harrigan on the screen. By the way, it's a photo of Harrigan.
With his lawyer, I kind of cut out his lawyer there. Yeah,
and that's Pete Dawson, and
who looks like Joe Walsh of the Eagles.
This photo here, look, you can see Pete Dawson right on the end, the far left, next to Eric Clapton, and there's Joni Mitchell, and Mama Cass, and I can't name all the other people, but they're all famous people at Mama Cass's house. But it just shows that he did hang around with all these people,
Right? Yeah, that's legit. That's legit.
Yeah. He was actually Cass Elliott's boyfriend, wasn't he, for a bit, I think.
I did not know that. I learned something new every day.
Yeah, I think so, yeah. Doyle and Harrigan became quite friendly with Frykowski and Folger. This was mainly due to the fact that Frykowski was interested in the known drugs on the market, in addition to future synthetic drugs that were being made in eastern Canada. Doyle and Harrigan told Frykowski that they would obtain the new synthetic drug MDA from Canada and allow him to be one of the first to try it. This conversation or agreement apparently took place sometime in the early part of July 1969 at the Polanski home. So yeah, basically, so the Polanski and Folger up at Cielo Drive were talking about buying MDA from Harrigan.
Can I add something?
Yeah.
I might be skipping ahead a little bit here, and I'm not. I'm trying to pick my brain where I remember hearing this from or reading it from. But is it possible that Tex was involved with Massaro and Rostow's side of things? Weren't they partners? And maybe everything up at Cielo was kind of like a war of territory for drugs. Like maybe Rostow and Massaro didn't want the people from Canada getting that kind of territory up in the hills of Hollywood there. And maybe that kind of plays into everything. You reckon that could possibly be legitimate right there?
Definitely. And the way Tex, with the cutting the phone wires and the time, apparently trying tying people up, and that does sound like how that Rostow guy operated as well, as if he'd been taught by Joe Rostow. But we don't mention him in this police report, so that is jumping ahead, really. Yeah.
Because from what I know, what I've learned, what some of my brain is sponged up, is that Rostow and Massaro were kind of in a business partners together. And they don't want people kind of, they're all back then, they're all trying to fight for territory, where to deal drugs, and you got rich people up there that are like Fracco and all them, and the Tates and Polanski's that are buying. Now, keep in mind, like Beckham talked about, that house was under surveillance, and Polanski had a bunch of drugs seized like 5 days before the murder. So, there's a whole shitload.
Linda was also connected to Rostow, so Linda knew.
Okay, there you go. All right.
Yeah. And Wojciech was the target. Someone else says, which is true, because basically they had either failed to supply the MDA or they'd supplied bad MDA to Tex or Linda, Tex and Linda, basically. So they bumped them for, money.
Do you think that when they all went up there, I'm asking you this, Nancy, that they were expecting company from which side? From the Tex was probably expecting it from the Rostow and Massaro side, right? That maybe Rostow and Massaro might have put Tex up to this. Say, hey man, go up there and try and rip these people off. Or was Tex working by himself? There's just so many different angles.
Well, they had loads of debt, didn't they? They owed money to the biker gang, didn't they? The Straight Satans and over the.
John Donaldson says Massaro was interviewed by Tom O'Neill. Brief clips on the Facebook and Instagram. I'm gonna have to check that out, John. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. He also interviews Doyle in Chaos.
Yeah, Doyle.
Yeah.
We can't find much about him. He seems to be the missing link to our study, right? That we were going over this week. Yeah.
We found Harrigan, didn't we? The photo of Harrigan, but not.
Yeah, but I was trying to look stuff up on Doyle, and I'm going to tell you, that's like a needle in a haystack, Nancy, trying to find out stuff about him.
Harrigan, look.
Right.
Yeah, but he actually managed to. Right, if they weren't allowed to steal drugs in the Polanski house, they wouldn't have had to kill everybody. They could have just taken drugs and left to go at the house for the police. And so they had stolen more drugs. No, but it wasn't that. It was revenge. They ripped him off. They ripped him off for money.
And you got to combine, you got to combine a bunch of things into that, right, Nance? I mean, we could go on all night about that. But, drug burn and save a brother are the two things I'm going to the grave with. And I think a lot of the Hollywood stuff was a cover-up. Yeah.
So, and let's get back to what it says, just so I can read out the rest of what it says.
Okay.
Right. In mid-July, Doyle left for Jamaica with Charles Tackett to make an underground film about the effects of marijuana Harrigan made a trip to Toronto, Canada, and brought back a supply of MDA and possibly other drugs via commercial airlines. It is known that he supplied at least a portion of this MDA to Frykowski. It is possible that Frykowski was given this drug by some other emissary 2 or 3 days prior to the murder. Kaznowski was present at the Polanski home in the early part of July and overheard Doyle and Harrigan tell Frykowski they were going to get him the drug known as MDA. Kaznowski did not see Doyle and Harrigan after this meeting. The 1st of June 1969, Mark Fine, an active friend of Frykowski, came into the city from New York. He was due to make a movie in Hollywood. The first part of July, Frykowski offered Fine a room at his Woodstock house. Fine accepted and moved in the 1st of July. Approximately 1 week later, Frykowski learned that Sharon Polanski was coming back home from Europe the 21st of July. He and Folger intended to move back into their Woodstock house and began moving clothing into the house. So yeah, and that's just confirming that Frykowski had MDA. And it's important to point out as well, it's in both Abigail Folger and Frykowski's blood when they died as well. They were on MDA.
Yes, they found it in the bloodstream. There is a name that there's a name that we have not brought up yet. Who was probably heavily involved with cocaine and everything else from possibly other sources, and that's Sebring. So you're looking at like a 3-headed monster of drug dealings at this Cielo house. And I know a lot of people get a little bent out of shape about that, but these people were not innocent at that house.
No, that's it. They were, doing a lot of drugs, selling drugs. And that Doyle matey, Harrigan and Doyle, what we just read about them with cocaine, there was a lot of drugs going on.
I just thought of something. Which was the guy? Now, I'm asking the audience this because I'm still learning from y'all. What was the guy that got tied up to the tree at Mama Cass's house? Was that Doyle? And he wanted to kill Frykowski, or Frykowski wanted to kill him? So them two had a beef with each other.
Well, that was over the bad MDA, wasn't it? Yeah, that was the other thing.
All right.
They're supposed to have drugged him and tied him up to a tree, aren't they, and beat him.
And Mama Cass wasn't even there. She didn't even get the she's in the hospital.
In Mama Cass's garden, it's meant to have happened. One night, and they're supposed to have.
Imagine the embarrassment with that.
Sexually assaulted him with a dildo, I can't. It was apparently or something crazy like that.
Freaky deaky back then.
But all because this MDA was bad or whatever.
See, now that part I didn't know about, Nance. I didn't know that. You just taught me that tonight. I did not know that a batch of MDA was bad. I only knew about Hinman's dope supposedly being bad, but it wasn't. It wasn't. Let's face it, it wasn't.
I think they probably just didn't know how to take it.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for teaching me that. I did not know that the MDA was. They were pissed off about that. So.
Yeah, well, that's what the problem was with the MDA, and that's why that happened to Doyle, because he brought in the MDA.
Okay. All right. I may have heard that, and it may have just eluded me from all the other stuff I've had to sponge up.
The reference for the bad MDA is the reason why they tied Doyle to a tree and beat him up. They drugged him and beat him and basically assaulted him with a dildo. They raped him.
That's what Ann wants to know. The reference for the bad MDA.
Chaos is mentioned in Chaos. Tommy Neal mentioned Chaos. It's mentioned in Neil Sanders. So
Nance, you're breaking up just a little bit on my side.
Yes, it's right. My internet connection dropped down, but no, it's not. It's not any of the reports that happened. It's just that story comes from or other. It's like an anecdotal story. Other people that were there, because a lot of people were there when it happened. Apparently, it was at a party. J.T. and Frykowski tied to a tree and beat him up.
Robin says Gary Hinman just didn't package the mescaline the right way. It should have been in a capsule. You take it by mouth because I've taken it.
Yeah, that's it.
All right. I'm missing out on a trip then. And Ann wants to know if this is in a report. I'm assuming she's still talking about the Doyle getting tied to the oak tree.
Yeah, no, I've already said that. Yeah, I've already said no.
Okay,
no,
all right.
That's no
you cut out a little bit. So
yeah. That's not
Interesting
actually written in
stuff.
any of the reports.
John Donaldson says Dennis Hopper knows about
Yeah,
this.
yeah, LA Free Press, yeah, from Sunset due to the bad drugs, yeah, and this is it, it's bad MDA. And I've got a bloody file that's got all the clippings from the LA Free Press about the Manson case, but it's so big I can't upload it to Facebook. I even tried to zip it, put it as a zip file, but it's still too big to upload to the file section. But it's got every article, so it's probably got that article as well.
Man, I have a hard enough time going through the Cielo Drive case files because a lot of the photo copies of that stuff is so hard and legible to read.
Yeah.
There's over 35,000 files that people had to go over with that stuff. And who knows how much of it is true since there was so much lying going on.
Yeah.
So who knows? It's never ending, right?
Yeah, totally. It just is crazy.
What gets me about Watson and Linda must have had dealings maybe they were playing both sides. Maybe they knew about both sides with this. Maybe they knew about the Doyle Canada side that was hanging out with Fracco, and maybe they knew about the Rostow and Massaro, because Massaro's the one that taught him how to cut wires and shit, supposedly.
Yeah.
So Tex is already good on that side of things, but Tex is a squirrel. He's going to try and play anything he can, and when his little sidekick Linda comes around, that's when all the trouble starts. They might have been playing both sides and had their own agenda to get money for Charlie too. So it's just a shitstorm.
Yeah. Crazy. It is. Yeah, let's see. What other pictures did I have? I should show Pick Dawson as well. Pick Dawson.
Yeah, this is a good point good point John Donaldson's making, that Dennis Hopper is the voice of moral authority in the situation.
Yeah.
But he claimed that they had fallen into sadism up at Cielo. Well, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, Joe
really
Siegling
wouldn't
was
be
a bit
surprised about that. Yeah.
Yeah, Joe Siegling can feel that, apparently. It's the rumor, isn't it?
And they don't want to admit that they hung out with girls in the Manson family, probably because they are lower on the food chain.
Yeah.
But the quote that I read in Susan's testimony the other night, when I went up there and just looked around and saw the house, because I'm a druggie myself, she says, she knows what they look like. She's like, just looking at the people and looking at the way the house is, she knew that was a narcotic house. So that right there's another new light that I never knew that shines on this.
Yeah.
Drugs and Save a Brother together. The perfect storm. And the Hollywood cover-ups. Now, I'm not denying that one bit. Everything we joked about yesterday, I'm not denying there's not a Hollywood cover-up, but it has its limits.
Yeah, well, I think as well they wouldn't want to admit that they had the house under surveillance when the murders happened, because that would mean they could have done something about it. They could have caught the people as they left or whatever.
Right,
if they had the house under surveillance, so that's bad as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
So that would be another reason they'd want to cover up that there was a drug thing going on.
And we got into this whole thing about Whitson. What if Whitson waiting down at the end of the driveway? What side is Whitson on? Is he CIA? Is he hanging with the family as a informant? I mean, this guy's the biggest mystery in the entire case.
Yeah, that's it. Well, it's like, was he surveilling them or what? Yeah, or was he part of the? If any weird experiments were being done on the family, if anything was happening like that, was he part of that? It's weird, isn't it? Yeah.
Now, when Tex gets up there and they all roll out and do whatever they do, I'm still thinking that Parent got killed in the middle of all this. But, he's expecting a shipment of drugs, possibly, Yeah. And they only come back with $70 to Charlie. They're only bringing $70 back. After all that effort, they come back with 70 measly dollars. So somebody dropped the ball on when these drugs were supposed to get. Either they got intercepted or they crossed their wires on when it was supposed to get delivered. So and the million dollar question: why is Frykowski sleeping on the couch with his shoes on, fully dressed? I don't know. I mean, I don't know if that has any holds any water or not to me. So
well, they were coming down off MDA, weren't they, in the living room by the sound of things? Yeah.
Oh, probably, yeah. Remember the party they had up there a few days ago? That's where they found that green wine bottle out by the pool. It was from that party when the Canadians were up there.
Yeah.
So here's another mind bender. If those Canadians were up there partying with Franco and all them, why is Franco having Doyle tied to a tree? Why is Doyle so pissed off that he's tied to a tree and he wants to kill him? So maybe that's when the bad MDA happened, during that party up at Cielo?
No, it's the MDA that Doyle supplied when he brought it back from Canada was bad.
Right, but they were partying together up at Sharon's house, is my point. I wonder if that's when they got the bad MDA right there, and then got pissed off after that a couple of days later. And there was the whole tie to a tree incident. That's what I'm asking you.
Yeah, I assume so, yeah. I'm not sure, because that's like not something that's in any of the reports, is it? That's something that's just a...
Right. Like what the detail and timeline on the bad MDA sale was and when. Let's see what Courtney's got to say.
Is this Courtney?
My theory is yes.
Takes an end of a bone drugs and voice echo or something. Yeah, probably why, yeah.
I won't argue with that.
Yeah, I think that they were.
Everything in the house belonged to Rudy Altabelli, Courtney. I'm still learning that too. She knows her stuff about that house. I'll tell you what, Courtney knows that, the layout of that house, and she knows the history of that house better than anyone I know. So
yeah.
Yes, too much to wrap my head around.
Yeah.
Robin says, Charlie always said that Hollywood was worse than the real mob. That's right. She might be right on that one. What do you think, Nance?
What?
That Charlie said that Hollywood was worse than the real mob itself.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's what Charlie said, wasn't it?
They did so much underground scumbag stuff, like building the, you know what Beckham was telling us this week about building the underground tunnel to the Playboy Mansion? Yeah. Why would you do that if you're not child trafficking? Why would you even need an underground tunnel? That Jack Nicholson thought of that.
Yeah, some kind of people trafficking in it,
Right.
Human trafficking.
Beckham's not even here to defend himself. He's asleep.
No, shit. Poor Beckham, yeah.
How long are we going to do this? For about a half hour tonight?
Yeah, we can wrap this up pretty soon, because I want to make some shorter videos.
Now, are we doing the blood thing? Are you still going to go through with the
tomorrow night? Yeah, okay. We're going live again tomorrow night as well, and hopefully Beckham will be here for that.
Because I wasn't sure if you just wanted to cancel it because our video is back up now on YouTube, or do you want to keep going with part two?
No, because that's part two. I was going to do that anyway. I've scheduled this one because of the one on YouTube going down, but it is back now. But I still wanted to revisit that and just do shorter videos about certain bits of the police report because it's more interesting.
Gotcha. All right.
Because there's too much information in one long video, basically, in that one.
Yeah.
But tomorrow night we're going live again about this time.
Okay.
On the hour.
A little later tomorrow. We got green jello after that, remember? So.
Yeah. Well, no, we'll probably go like earlier, yeah.
All right. So what are you thinking would be a good time tomorrow, like Eastern time?
Yeah.
Do we have some new things we need to address in the crowd? Let's see. I'll read it right out loud here.
No,
that underground tunnel is under Sunset Boulevard. Okay.
Yeah.
Here comes Robin. Are you reading what Robin's saying? Let me read it out loud. A friend of mine who owned.
Read all of that now. It's all right.
Okay.
Yeah. It was used for bootlegging during Prohibition. The underground tunnel was under Sunset Boulevard.
Jack Nicholson was not innocent. I'll tell you that.
No. He was involved with some kind of dodgy shit, wasn't he?
Well, they had a lot of money, and they did freaky things.
Yeah.
Yes.
Freaky people.
Oh, bootlegging during Prohibition. Gotcha. That makes sense, Court. All right.
But no, there was the plans found for them made a tunnel made, while Jack Nicholson and Hugh Hefner had the Playboy Mansion and that. And there was,
All
it
right.
wasn't, and there was one going to Warren Beatty's house as well. It wasn't just Jack Nicholson. It was to several people's houses.
A lot of names have been dragged into this, man. You notice how a lot of them came out after the murders. Oh, I remember this. I remember that. Yeah. They were scared shitless while it was going on. That's why.
Yeah.
So good stuff. Yeah. This was productive tonight.
Yeah, well, that's it. That's better, isn't it? Just to do short ones and get as much.
All right.
Well,
so, all right, everybody. Tomorrow night, let's make a time. Yeah. Why don't we say 9 o'clock, 8 o'clock Eastern? We will announce it on Mystique tomorrow.
Yeah, we'll do. About 8 o'clock Eastern. Yeah, because I want to start like on the hour, midnight for me.
Wow. Robin's saying a friend said that Roman Polanski would pay parents money to give them their little girls. Jesus.
Probably, yeah.
I wouldn't put anything past that guy.
But that was to, because they thought you'd get them work acting or whatever.
Oh, one more thing. One more thing we agreed we'd bring up tonight.
Yeah,
your thoughts on was Abigail and Wojtek. Did we talk about this yet? Do I have short-term memory? Abigail and Wojtek fixing to break up a few days. Did she have that plan? She was going to fly to San Francisco, talk to her mom, and let her mom talk her out of staying with Wojtek? Or were they planning on moving back to their Woodstock house, and is all that bullshit rumor?
No, it does say in the police report as well. I haven't got it on the slides tonight, but I've got it somewhere. That she was saying to her psychiatrist she was wanting to leave him, and the psychiatrist thought she was trying to pluck up the courage to leave him.
Okay.
So yeah, so it's possible she was going to leave him, but they were moving. But yeah, that's the other thing. That's the other interesting thing is as well. The police report says that they were actually fixing to move out. They had moved. They were moving their stuff back into their house, and so they got asked to stay because everyone goes on about how Sharon hated Fikowski and wanted him to leave, but they got asked to stay, obviously, so it's like, was that by Roman or was that by, Sharon, and is it bullshit that she hated Fikowski? Who knows? But there are a lot of sources that were close to Sharon say she didn't like Fikowski, and he did run over a dog or something, didn't he, in that?
Robin, let me address 3 more comments. Too many names have been drug into this. I can tell you about Gibby. Yes, I'm sure you can, Courtney. You know a lot about those. Yeah. I credit you that. And then Robin says maybe they were planning to move back to the other house because Sharon was going to have the baby. I mean, that makes sense. Why do you want to have a bunch of party animals in your house if you're fixing to have a baby?
You can join if you want, Courtney. Do you want to join? I can send you the link. We can talk about that because it's always interesting to hear stuff about her.
Well, Courtney can just talk to us in the 3-way chat we have in Messenger too.
Yeah, but she can join the stream if she wants, and we'll carry on a bit longer.
It's up to you, Courtney. I know you got a lot going on tonight, so
even if it's just for 10 minutes at the end, because we've been going for half an hour now exactly.
Nobody will hold it against you if you don't.
Yeah, if you don't want to, we could just end.
Doris was going to come stay with her. She wanted them out.
We could do a whole thing about.
Why don't we plan a show about? Why don't we plan a show about
Abigail
Folger and Abigail? Yes.
Yeah, Abigail Folger. Yeah, we can do that.
We'll plan that in the near future. So that way, Courtney can get a little more prepared.
For next week, after we've done the drug burn stuff. Yeah.
Okay.
After we get that out of the way.
Courtney, we'll do that next week. Get your notes together. We've been on a half hour.
Yeah, that's okay. No, it's all right. Yeah. Well, since this has just been just over half hour, we'll end it now. Okay. But
thank you, everybody.
Tomorrow night, tune in tomorrow night.
8 o'clock.
About the same time.
We'll make an announcement in Mystique.
Yeah, and it's been scheduled anyway.
Thank you, everyone. Right. Have a blessed evening.
Thanks for watching, everyone. Yeah, and we'll leave this up, and it will go up on the YouTube channel hopefully. Good night.